There's a great Japanese aesthetic called wabi-sabi, which I encourage you all to look up. It's concerned with the balance, the contrast of the sleek, modern perfection and the rustic, kind of Zen-like chaos. And the balance in between. When you build products with a balance in between, you have something that attracts a great simplicity, but also a great mass of people. And there's tons of brands out there that are living up to this aesthetic quality today. One of my favorite denim companies, Ernest Stone, which is what I'm wearing right now, New York company, they were striving to achieve this aesthetic, and they kind of went, very, very conceptual. And, they only got the denim from looms in the middle of Kentucky, and they would only hire jean makers who have done figure drawing for 10 years. They put a lot of effort, made all their jeans in the United States, learned a lot from the greats, Levi's, the San Francisco company, which effectively created the movement, not just a product, but an entire social movement around denim, and really honored the practice and the love of denim and this one thing that people take for granted usually. And the craftsmanship and the feel and the look of their brand is just amazing. When you see it instantly, people fall in love with it.
So one of the companies, a lot of people on the East Coast are familiar with, it's called Alden Shoes. They made, one of the oldest shoemaker in America, and now they're exporting shoes to Italy and to France and England, which is kind of ironic. And their success is already mostly being driven by social media. Like, Twitter has become good for promotion of that shoe brand, which was not discovered till Twitter became kind of mainstream. Do you feel that technologies like Twitter have an ability to create a different kind of a retail or business experience going forward?
Oh yeah, because you can discover so much more. You can discover, if you do have an interest in well-made things, shoes, for instance, you follow people who also have a similar interest, who have a similar passion, and they'll tweet about this brand. Alan or John Loeb, who's another great craftsman. And you get to not only see that the brand is represented, but you get to see that the brand is very human, that there's people working for it, and you get to see that if they're amazing craftsmen, they're actually talking about the process, and we're talking about the work, and it just ropes you in. It's very romantic, and I think there's a deep romance around some products that make them truly, truly successful, and I think it's really, really hard to manufacture to surface, but when you have it, it's something that just makes it so easy to spread. But Twitter allows it to be surfaced immediately all over the world, just based on people's passion.
So, going back in time, 2006, did you have any clue that Twitter would be doing all these things?
The idea came from my work in Dispatch, which is a very simple model. It's a publish, subscribe model. So you have someone who's reporting what's happening. Ambulance at 5th and Broadway going to St. John's Mercy with a patient in cardiac arrest. So you have people who are listening, dispatchers, and then you have these short format updates. So that was the abstraction that I fell in love with. And I knew that concept was huge because every vertical that I looked at, every industry that I looked at, I could apply that very simple model. What has been surprising is the dynamic range of how people have been using Twitter, how they took to it as a utility immediately, a utility that you build products upon, and you build social products upon. The @ symbol, the hashtag, the retweet, the word tweet, all came from our users. It was all invented by our users taking the 140 characters and being creative with having a desire to address each other or address a topic in a very particular way. And we took that and we made it more usable, and we took the friction out. it to a bigger audience and honored that that invention. But that's been the most amazing thing to me, is that people have taken the utility and built not just companies but social movements, social products on top of it.
So going forward in, let's say, 2, 3, 4 years from now, where do you see Twitter and Square for that?
I think both are great at encouraging more face-to-face human interactions. I think both are great at giving global tools to individuals and allowing individuals to start immediately. With Twitter, I believe that the biggest work and the biggest challenge ahead of us is, and the biggest opportunity, the biggest potential, is being able to discover something instantly, discover something relevant and meaningful right away, anywhere you are, using every available signal that you give to us. So I'm interested in the Cardinals, interested in coffee. I can take out my phone and see something meaningful right away. It's an extremely challenging problem, especially when it has to be done in real time, and it has to be done in real time. With Square, the most exciting thing to me about Square is CardCase, and the fact that I can literally walk into Cyclass, order a cappuccino, then find my picture and my name on the cash register, enjoy the cappuccino, have a conversation with you, and walk out. Not bring out my wallet, not bring out cash, not bring out my phone. Everything is just taken care of. I get a push notification to leave them a tip, which, of course, I want to do because I had a fantastic experience. But it's on my time. It's asymmetric, and it's something that just makes the experience much better. So, to make payments feel that magical and feel that delightful, something that you notice only when you dig in and you're aware of it, but otherwise it just disappears, is where we want to be with Square.
Well, anyone who has questions, I can't see.
That's very right.
So, one of the things I talked to Keith, the CEO of your company at Square, and he and I talked about the potential of Square as a disruptor of retail, and talked about how the individuals could become retail outlets. And so, how far do you see that going? Do you see, the phenomena of like Airbnb spreading to other aspects of our society?
I think the ability to take payments right away, especially the payments medium that people are using, which is plastic cards, instantly unlocks everything. So being able to decide today that I want to be a hairstylist because I've been practicing it for quite some time. I just got my license and I want to start right now. I download an app, put in my name, get a reader at Target, and then I'm done. I'm in business and I can start accepting funds. It's amazing for me to suddenly sell my paintings anywhere, or just on the spot. Just really like, someone says, I want to buy one of your paintings, and I say, it's going to be $1,000. I say, I don't have my checkbook, I don't have $1,000 cash, so hang on. And I say, no, download the application, take the credit card payment right there. It's amazing, you're in business right away. So, in terms of anyone being a retailer, anyone being a merchant, the line between consumer and merchant, the counter blurs. And you're seeing this in retail today. You're seeing this with Apple. There is no counter anymore. People are going right to purchase their computer. They're having a conversation with the Apple Store employee, hand over their credit card, and it's done, and they walk out happy. They don't wait in line. They don't wait behind a point-of-sale system. They're not separated by this massive counter. There's no boundaries. So it takes all the friction out so that individuals can be individuals.
Do you think as an industry, the Silicon Valley, all these startups we have now, do we actually understand how to get this humanized technology done, or we still have a lot of work to do?
I think
have we come to terms with that reality?
No, I think there's a lot of work to do. I think we need a lot of help as well. And one of the things I love about Silicon Valley is its culture of mentorship. The fact that I can walk down the street and pretty much have a technology conversation with anyone. The fact that I can walk to any entrepreneur and any entrepreneur can walk up to me and discuss a problem, discuss an idea, is not something you find anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world. And it's something that we need to make sure that we're always doing, that as CEOs, as journalists, as entrepreneurs, as people who are just getting started, and as people who run companies of 30,000 people, that we're always accessible to people who want to start something new and to build something that they've been dreaming about their entire life.
But looking forward, when I say the apps or services we are building, should all of us be thinking about building those products with emotion as we go into this future, which is more personalized, more connected on a human level?
I think so. I mean, it's not always going to be for everyone, but I believe it hits the common universal human thread. It's like a pop song, and I think that's critical to learn. So I think parts of that we definitely have to build into all of our products, all of our technologies.
So what are the 2 or 3 key things we should be thinking?
I think simplification is number one. Working really hard to get something down to an essence is one of the most challenging things that we do on a daily basis, but it's the most critical. It allows one to focus. It allows one to put the user first. It allows one to get down to the essence of what they truly love about an interaction. And it takes all that conceptual debris that we were talking about earlier away. So I think being really cognizant of how to make something simpler is a tough thing to learn, but the most important thing to learn. Making things fun is a big one as well. We're in a very serious industry, we're in a very serious time, and we have to remember to laugh. We have to be human, to relate, and just to have fun, have some whimsy in your applications, have some character, have some personalization. That is craftsmanship to me. You put yourself into it.
Thank you, Jack, for
Thank you.
being here for us.
Thanks.
Gigaom, thank you, Jack. How's the temperature in here, everybody?
Good.
Comfortable? It's freezing backstage. We probably use the product that's going to be talked about next. Never has thermostat or heating been so cool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that way. We're going to bring out Mr. John Markoff. He's a senior writer for the New York Times, and Tony Fadel. He's the founder and CEO of Nest Labs. And they're going to be discussing design for the iPhone generation. Make it beautiful, easy, and connected. Please welcome John and Tony.
I'm John. This is Tony. I'm Tony. So, Tony Fadel is what I consider to be the quintessential consumer hardware designer. I was going to say guy, designer. And he began, I believe, by designing microprocessors. True? In college.
Some software and then microprocessor.
And since then, he's designed a tremendous variety of handheld devices, including 18 generations of the iPod, 3 generations of the iPhone. Do you get any credit for the iPad?
Actually, all the guts of the iPad came from the iPhone.
Okay. So the father of the father of the iPad. So, and now he's got this company that's designed this, which you can't get now.
You can't get it. We're sold out.
But you can see them at Best Buy. You can actually, they actually have demos that so you can play with them.
You can play with it.
Okay, so this is a home thermostat. So Tony is reinventing the home thermostat. But before we get to Nest, which is your Palo Alto startup, I wanted to ask you about building a company like Nest and what's it been like? How's it been different from working within a company like Apple and starting your own company like Nest?
Well, I think first, I had startups before Apple, so I've known what the small startup is like. But after going to Apple and your eyes getting wide open, and it's a huge sandbox of different technologies and different just capabilities and resources that at the end of the day, you can't go back. You can't go back to the startup world and say, I'm going to just do it the startup way. You want to do it the way you know is the best way possible. And so moving ahead into Nest, it's been really about trying to get that same level of quality, that same level of rigor, but on a much smaller budget with limited resources.
And how small? What's your budget?
We're not talking about that, but literally we did spend about as much as we would on an iPhone.
Okay. And you've done this in about a year?
So just over a year and a half.
That's pretty quick. Did you have time to build a company culture along with getting a company product out the door?
Well, luckily, it's a very good question. Luckily for us, I was able to pull, because I've been in Silicon Valley 20 years, so I was able to pull a lot of people I knew from the various things I've done in the past. And we put together a team of almost 100 people. And through that, we've all worked together in some form or fashion, so we all knew, the three-letter acronyms and what that meant as soon as we said them. So we already were a cohesive group before that.
And so that what you have now, how similar is it to what you had in, let's say, a year after you started iPod Inside Out? Does it feel the same?
Well, for me, it's a little different. For the engineering team, it's very much the same. But for me, I'm sales, marketing, operations, and all these other things that you relied on in bits and pieces around Apple. And we're building a brand too. So we have to do all kinds of new things, and it's really stretching my capabilities, which is it's wonderful to grow. Wonderful.
So this is about Nest, but I want to ask you one question about Steve. You worked with him as closely as anyone in the last, for almost a decade, right?
For 9 years.
9 years. Yeah.
My wife as well.
Yeah, and Danny. And so, were you surprised by the reaction to Steve after he died, the reaction to his death? Was there anything that sort of surprised you, or?
Well, it just the reverberation. It just kept building, and it was every part of the globe. So if you think about it, and I talked to a lot of people who were inside of Apple, and they saw all the tributes coming in. It was just worldwide, and it just continued for hours on end, and it's even going still today. So it was quite surprising, but for a person who had almost 4 decades of impact, changing industries once or twice even in some cases, it's very.
So you leave Apple, you're hanging out, just stumble across the idea that.
So Nest really was a culmination of a few things. Number one, my wife and I left Apple, and we had 2 young kids at the time, so we were changing our whole life to become much more environmentally conscious, to teach our children the best way to grow up and treat the world as a partner, not just use it and leave it for someone else to deal with. And then the second one was really, I was bored, and my wife was like, "You gotta get out of the house. You gotta do something." And so my mind was really at the time just aching for something to get back into it, because I just love building things. And the third was I was building a house, or I was designing a greenhouse in Lake Tahoe, and we were putting solar panels and geothermal and all these other things. And then it came time to buy thermostats, and I was like, what? So all those things came together, and I was just like, there's something crazy. It's a crazy idea.
You ran into beige boxes, basically.
Yeah, they looked like PCs from the 90s. They were all just square beige, the same kind of LCDs, the same kind of interfaces, nothing innovative at all. And they were very expensive.
I went on the web and I found one with the color screen.
Yes, touchscreens and color that's how the market's broken up into touchscreen thermostats and color.
So I think you guys argue that about 50% of the energy usage in the home is controlled by the thermostat as one device.
That's correct. And in many houses, there's many more than one thermostat.
So what's the other half of that equation? If you use this well, how much can you save?
Well, it depends on your home. It depends where you live in the country because of weather. It depends on your comfort patterns as well. But typically, we run the models for all different parts of the country. And you can save anywhere between 5% and 60%, depending on your habits and where you're coming from. But in general, between 15 and 25%, because you just turn it down at night and turn it down when you're away.
And where are the environments where you save more? Are they more extreme?
Northeast.
Yeah.
The Northeast is really, really great. Or where there's a lot of electricity, where they don't use gas, like in Texas, for a lot of cooling.
Palo Alto is not so stupid.
Yeah, you know, California. It's a big difference.
Don't really need those.
Oh, Tahoe is actually a lot of energy.
So, Tony and I occasionally spend some time together. We ride bikes together, and I've occasionally, in recent times, you've been frustrated by the process of building one of these in terms of the suppliers that you have to work with.
Right.
What's it like not to be at Apple and to be a startup and to try to get out a product with Apple quality?
Well, like I was saying previously, once you see how to do it right, you want to do it right. So you work with these suppliers that you've worked with for years, and they go, oh yeah, it's Tony, we know Tony, we're going to work with him. And then at the end of the thing, so they go, oh Tony, they're going to make this amazing product. And they go, what are the numbers? What are the volumes? Wait a second. And then they put the C team on. And they're like, we'll help you out. But are they going to really help you out? And then now with orders increasing, things are changing dramatically. But at the beginning, it's not like we have a big brand and a big budget.
So in terms of quality control, I've been told one of the problems you face in this is like on the line the workers will change from day to day and the quality goes up and down. Can you get into that and affect it in any way, or do you just have to reject stuff after it comes off the...
Well, there's different ways of doing it, but literally the suppliers change because the plastics or the metals come out. They're all hand built. When you're shipping electrons, you can make digital copies, perfect digital copies, very easily. But when you're shipping atoms, each of these is basically a work of art. They're all handmade, all the materials and everything. And so what we have to do is we have to have quality processes for each of our subcomponent suppliers and then our end assembly suppliers. And you have to go through and do rigor at each step of the process to make sure there's controls to ensure that the quality of the product comes out as tight as it does for making 1 million of them as it does for the first one.
So walk me through the industrial design. So it's evocative of a traditional thermostat, right?
It's a dial. It's a dial.
But wasn't there the original beautiful thermostat, wasn't it this round thing in the home in the 50s or something like that? Did you intentionally set out to evoke that in some way?
Well, it was really, the Henry Dreyfuss design from the 1950s was definitely an iconic design. But it really all stemmed from, this design all stemmed from the fact that, 99% of the time all you're doing is turning it up or down. And so what do you want to do? What's the most, easiest interaction with this kind of device? It's just simply a dial. So you do everything with a dial, and in fact, there's only one button. So a dial and a button, and figuring out how to make the most simple but most powerful interface with just a dial and button. It's actually got less input than an iPod. So it's quite challenging to make a really, a beautiful one, but also easy to use.
How much computing is it?
So this has got a smartphone basically built in. So all the power of a smartphone inside here. We have wireless connectivity, 2 types of wireless, more sensors than a smartphone.
How many sensors?
There's 5 sensors inside. There's a temperature sensor, obviously, a humidity sensor. But it also has a light sensor, and it has 2 activity sensors, a near field and a far field activity sensor. And that's to detect when people are around the front of the device, so we can actually determine when people are in front of it. And then when they are, we'll stay in normal operation mode. But when we see you're gone for a period of time, maybe 2 hours or something like that, we'll actually go into auto away mode, which will actually move it to a lower temperature setting or a lower energy setting, so that it automatically starts saving you energy when you forget to turn it down when you go away.
And the far field motion sensor, what do you mean by far? Will it go around corners?
So it'll fill a room. So it's about a 25 by 25 foot room. It will watch. And we've noticed that in 95% of the installations, they're perfectly positioned. The thermostats are perfectly positioned in a traffic area where we see you during your normal waking hours. So you don't have to go in front of it all the time. You just have to go in front of it every 2 or 3 hours, like when you're going to get a cup of tea or going to the bathroom or something.
Why did you pick the Surface?
The surface?
Yeah.
Oh, so this back piece?
This, yeah, the side.
And the side, well, people asked us, well, what color are you going to make the device? You can make it pink, you can make it green. I want it to be wood grain. I want it to do all these different things. So we made all these models. We made 20, 25 different models of all the different colors, and nothing was exactly right? And then we're like, well, we're going to make 40 colors? And then if we have 40 colors, do we make 40 SKUs? Do we make it a personalizable device? What have you? And literally, it started, we had just a silver device. And I started putting it on top of different surfaces. I said, wait a second, this is kind of like a mirror. And so we started with this mirror concept, and what we call chameleon design. And what it really is about is there's actually a mirror in here. And we have a special edge here that picks up incident light that comes off bounces off of the walls around it, and then comes right in, and then through total internal reflection, picks up the color of whatever's around it. So it starts to blend in, like we say, chameleon, of the things that are around it. So we didn't have to make a specific color. We could actually just reflect back the colors around it and make it blend in. So that was just a kind of very interesting trip.
What was hardest? What really made you cry?
Oh. I think, well, what was very difficult was the fact that we could make the front of the device, and we could make it all, we knew how to do the software and everything. But the thing that this attaches to is the Wild West on the other side. So you have 40 or 50 years of heating and cooling technology, stored somewhere in your house somewhere. And to actually make it work with all those different units without a power wire, we made it work without a power wire. Any other connected thermostat out there in the market that's, that does somewhat connectivity needs a power. We did it without power. And to make it work with heating, heat pumps, and all these different things required a tremendous different type of technology and to power the device and make it all wirelessly work. And so that spent a lot of time, and each day as we go further and further, we learn more about more systems. We actually bring in systems from the field that are really weird, and we put them in our labs for test modules. So we did it all through software. We were able, instead of hardware, we were able to make it through software to work with all these different systems.
How is it powered itself?
How's it powered right now? Well, it's not hooked up to anything. So there's a lithium-ion battery. So it's a smartphone. Literally at the front of this. I can take this off. This is the back. This is a smartphone right here. With a lithium-ion battery. Actually, this is user serviceable. So you can actually go and change it out if you want. But it's all right here. And then here on the back, this is the back plate where you put in the wires. And if you look right here, we even added a bubble level to the back plate. So when you mount it, you can make sure that it's exactly perfect so that the screen looks exactly level when it comes out. So those are the two halves.
So is Nest a product company or a system company? I owned an iPod once upon a time, and the iPod has kind of disappeared into my iPhone. I don't think that's probably true for a lot of people. Where are you going?
Well, where we're going is we're shipping devices out to customers tomorrow. That's the first thing. And the second thing is then pleasing those customers. So we have a lot of great customers out there. It was amazing, overwhelming demand that we saw for the device. So
You're sold out until when?
we're sold out through the end of the year.
Can people still order?
Not right now, actually. We're taking email addresses. So we actually had to shut down the store after 72 hours because we sold out of 4 months of production, like that.
And so how did that happen? Was that about good PR? Was it about the fact that this product's just been missing from the market? What do you attribute?
Well,
Steve Miller wrote an article in the Wired, and it was a big deal.
I think if you look at it, people, and what we've been getting in all the emails and the Facebook posts and everything is, people have been suffering in silence for years with these devices. They've been like, jeez, someone's going to fix it Monday. And then they get their bill at the end of the month, cursing again, they pay their bill. And they keep doing this over and over, and no one's ever fixed it. And then what we did was, we came up with this, and they go, and we touched the nerve. And they went, I got to have this now. And then when I say have this, this is grandmother saying, right? They're like, oh my, I got to have this. This is single, this is small families. This is large families. It's across the board. And so I don't know, it was just, somehow we touched a nerve and people are really responding, and I was incredibly surprised. I knew I was frustrated with it, but I didn't know all these other people